What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So the long-awaited Lenovo Legion Go announcements have happened at CES, and it's been a little bit of a mess this morning trying to put it all together. Information scattered all over the place. No two articles seem to say exactly the same thing. There's different information here and there, but we've got enough together to kind of know what's going to happen, some pricing, when these are coming out, and that type of thing. So we'll go ahead and get into it and take a look here. We'll take a look at a couple of articles. We'll take a look at the Lenovo page, and we'll just gather what we can here and talk about this announcement. So let's go ahead and get into it. So over here on the Lenovo Story Hub page, there's not a lot to get into. They really leave out a ton of information, but they show all three devices here. So I thought we'd just take a quick look on here. We're going to have, of course, the Windows version, the SteamOS version, and Legion Go 2, the true sequel to the original Legion Go that we have here. But it's just a prototype, so it's not coming out anytime soon. Now, the Legion Go S models are coming out between January and May, so we'll talk about that. And we've got specs, pricing, and all of that, so I think we've pretty much got those two models figured out. Now, the Go S Windows version is going to come with a 1610 120Hz touch display. And exclusive to Lenovo, they're going to have the AMD Ryzen Z2 Go processor or the AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor, not the Z2, and up to 32 gigabytes of 7500 megahertz LPDDR5X RAM. They're going to have a 3-cell 55.5 watt-hour battery, weighing about 161 pounds, Wi-Fi 6E, a pair of USB 4 ports, micro SD, and all of that. And it's very similar when it comes to the two devices. The main difference here is just going to be the operating system and how you configure it. 16 or 32 gigs, a Z2 Go or a Z1 Extreme. At least that's kind of how it seems to be panning out. And then we've got the original or the prototype sequel to the original first generation Lenovo Legion Go. And this would be the true like 32 gigs of RAM, Z2 Extreme processor, 1610 OLED display. This is the one that I think a lot of people are waiting for, including myself. This is the one I'm most interested in. When it comes to the budget-friendly market, though, I see why Lenovo is coming out with these, and they could do well, especially when we're talking that $499 to $599 price range. So let's go ahead and get into it here, and we'll take a little bit more. Let's jump over and take a look at the IGN article, and we'll look at a Polygon article, and that'll give us a little bit more information. All right, so over here on IGN, Lenovo unveils Legion Go S and gives a sneak peek at next-generation handheld gaming PCs. Let's go down here a little bit. We've got some pictures, which we've been seeing since like last September on this thing leaking out. And it says, but while everything would seem to point to the Lenovo Legion Go S being less powerful than the original handheld, Lenovo has actually improved some of the specs on offer. The Legion Go S will have up to 32 gigabytes of LPDDR5X memory, along with an improved 55.5 watt-hour battery, which should lead to slightly longer battery life. Legion Go S is also available with either an AMD Ryzen Z2 Go or Z1 Extreme processor. Now, the part about raising some of the other specs is fine, but when you look at a Z2 Go versus a Z1 Extreme processor, it's kind of hard to believe that a Z2 Go, even with 32 gigs versus 16 gigs on a Z1, would beat it. The Z2 Go is a custom chip for Lenovo that's in 4-core, 8-thread, 680M GPU processor, as to where the Z1 Extreme is a 8-core, 16-thread, 780M GPU processor. And while the Z2 Go is newer, probably better architecture, more efficient and all of that, I don't see how that would be able to beat the Z1 Extreme in performance. Not that it needs to. This is meant to be a budget-friendly APU coming out. Now, the regular Z2, which is an 8-core, 16-thread, 780M like the Z1 Extreme, would probably be more on par, maybe slightly beat it due to the efficiency and the architecture. But the Z2 Go, I question a lot about being a better option over a Z1 Extreme. Unless you're going for the battery efficiency, budget, and all that, then it makes sense. If you'd rather avoid using Windows 11 altogether, though, you're in luck, as Lenovo is launching a version of the Lenovo Legion Go S that'll be running SteamOS as well, making for the first non-Valve handheld to use the custom Linux operating system. This part is actually pretty exciting. Valve's been working on getting SteamOS ready for the ROG Allies, for Lenovo, which is the first one to truly get it. They've even talked about getting the operating system out there more open for use, which they'll need more driver support for that, and that type of thing. But very exciting because having that option for operating systems, I think, is going to be a big deal moving forward. Now, it does mean that the Lenovo Legion Go S running on SteamOS would be subject to the same restrictions as the Valve handheld, namely only being able to run games through Steam unless you bypass the installed operating system. And we do that on the Steam Deck all the time, where we sideload the other stores like EA or Ubisoft or Epic. It works pretty well, but it's a pain for a lot of people, even though the processes have gotten a lot easier. But certain games, like Call of Duty, Valorant, Fortnite, Destiny 2, anything that's blocked or doesn't run on SteamOS or on a Steam Deck now is not going to run on SteamOS on the Legion Go S. So that's just something to be aware of. If you're shopping for a Windows or a SteamOS version, look at what games you're going to be playing. If you want to get your hands on the Lenovo Legion Go S, the Windows 11 version with a Z2 Go and 32 gigabytes of RAM will launch in January 2025, starting at $729. However, a more affordable version is launching in May 2025 with the same Z2 Go chip, but with 16 gigabytes of RAM and your choice of Windows 11 or SteamOS for $599. That price point feels a little better when it comes to the Z2 Go chip, even though it's 16 gigs of RAM, because again, I'm just seeing that as the more budget-friendly, lower-end processor, that while 32 gigs of RAM is always nice, I'm not sure that a lot of the games it would be playing would necessarily need it over the 16. Even though I'm done with 16 on handhelds for the most part, I want to see us move on to 24 and 32. When we're talking about budget-friendly stuff and APUs that are probably like less powerful than the Z1 Extreme, I'm not so sure how much it's truly going to help, depending on the game that you're playing. But yeah, that price point's not too bad. I really need to learn more about what's happening here with this $729 though, for the Windows 32 gig version. Up here, what kind of performance price that's really going to work out to. Now, again, the device I am really most excited for myself is the sequel to the Legion Go, the full-on Legion Go 2. I'm loving the look of this thing and the redesign. It's supposed to be more comfortable. I've already seen some videos out of CES today where people are able to hold the prototype and talking about how it feels much better. So that's a big deal to me, and that's the one I'm more interested in with the Ryzen Z2 Extreme, the OLED screen, all that kind of stuff. Removable controllers. This is the one I'm really anxious to get my hands on this year. But it sounds like January and May, we'll get those Legion Go S's with Windows or SteamOS. Now, let's go over here to the Polygon article real quick. We won't look at this whole thing, but might be a couple extra things in here that we can add to the information. So at CES 2025, Lenovo announced a brand new handheld PC, the Legion Go S, and it runs Valve's premier operating system. The Legion Go S has SteamOS pre-installed and features an 8-inch screen with variable refresh rate, Hall effect joysticks, adjustable trigger switches, and other alluring traits not found in any model of the Steam Deck. Legion Go S with SteamOS will launch in May for $499, bringing hardware specs that put it on par and in some cases well above the ROG Ally from ASUS and other powerful handhelds. At its base price, you'll get the AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme CPU and a 1920 by 1200 LCD display that can go up to 120 Hz with VRR. It's also going to support 65-watt charging to USB-Cs. We went over a lot of that. There's also going to be the $599 version that we were talking about, also running SteamOS, that's going to contain the new AMD Ryzen Z2 Go processor and 16 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage on the SSD. And then one more thing down here, for those who'd rather have Windows 11, Lenovo's got you covered with a version of the Legion Go S that's coming out this month. The $729 version featuring the faster AMD Ryzen Z2 Go, 32 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte SSD will ship first, followed by a $599 configuration in May that has the Z2 Go, 16 gigs of RAM, and 1 terabyte of storage. So basically just being a storage difference or a RAM difference there for $130. And again, I have to see what the performance is going to be of these, because I'm not so sure it's going to be worth that when you're talking about a Z2 Go and its power and its capabilities, and when you're talking about 16 versus 32 gigabytes of RAM. So we'll just have to see how that pans out. Also, the price here, you'll be able to get a SteamOS Z1 Extreme version of this device for $499. That feels like a pretty decent deal. I know a lot of people who have spent, between that $400 and $600 something on a Steam Deck, and have said that while they love it, they would love to see something like the Z1 Extreme performance in that device. And this is pretty much going to bring that when it comes to Legion Go S, $499. And then you come to $599 when it comes to the newer processor, which I get. They're more expensive to make, they're newer and all of that. But I'm still looking at a 4-core, 8-thread 680M versus an 8-core, 16-thread 780M. So we'll have to see how that works out. But I think this might be actually a pretty good deal when it comes to all 4 versions or however many versions of this Legion Go S they're getting ready to launch. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for now. The Legion Go 2, the Z2 Extreme device, don't expect that really anytime soon. It's still a prototype. Many things could change, but hopefully I'm thinking between September, October, November this year is when we'll see that one. Maybe they'll do it sooner, but I'm not so sure. January, we've got the Windows Legion Go S coming out, that version $730, and then in May we've got the other Windows version plus SteamOS coming out. So they're gonna have that all kind of wrapped up, so I don't think we'll see that one too soon. But let me know what you guys think about what we're seeing here when it comes to the Z2 Go processor that they're using in here, what kind of prices we're looking at, and would you want to try a Z1 Extreme over the Z2 Go? What would you be more interested in? Again, we got to see some comparisons and stuff like that. I'm going to try to get my hands on one of these newer processors to try it out and maybe compare it to some of the other Z1s Extremes we have sitting here. But I'm very interested to see how this does. It's kind of been an interesting, odd announcement from Lenovo. It didn't exactly go how I thought it would go on here, but they seem to be trying to hit kind of many different areas, from Windows to SteamOS to price points that are $499, $599 and up, and different options with the processors and the RAM and all that. I love the options, I love the competition, but is it going to wind up being a little bit too convoluted or too much? It's time will tell. We'll see how this works out for them when it comes to these 2 models. But for me, again, even though I'll try to get hands-on and do some testing on these, the one I'm truly interested in is the Legion Go 2 with the Z2 Extreme, that full-fledged next flagship model from Lenovo. But anyways, guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. We'll have some more videos on this. We'll get it all organized and do some more stuff here in the future. So anyways, thanks a lot for coming to watch. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one.